This podcast is sponsored by Curly Ellie. Curly Ellie is amongst the kids' favourites within the hair care range. With its natural ingredients and zero toxins, this means it is eczema friendly whilst being vegan. You can find them in store at Whole Foods UK and also online at www.curlyellie.com, and you can find them on Instagram at Curly Ellie. Be sure to check them out.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Your Sincerely podcast with me, Lauryn Goodman.
And me, Lisa Andrews.
And today we've got lots to talk about, haven't we?
So much to talk about, so much, and we're so tired, aren't we?
Don't get me started, Lisa, from the
So tired, but so much important, really relevant stuff to talk about, and we are actually going to get right into the nitty-gritty today. So today really is going to be interesting.
Yeah, and she, like I say, makes me nervous when she does talk like this, but hey, she's going to lead the way. But before we do have a caller, don't we? So we're going to add her into the call. She's going to stay anonymous, but she'd like to talk to us about her experience.
Fantastic. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, so let's dial in.
Hello.
Hey, it's Lauren and Lisa.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you both?
We're good.
We're good. We're tired, but we're good.
So we have been talking on Instagram a bit about your story. So we felt that it might be good for the listeners if you would be able to share some of it. Obviously, you're going to remain anonymous.
Yes, of course. I'd be happy to. So I left my daughter's father 3 years ago. So we left due to domestic abuse. And when we left, we literally had just the clothes on our backs. So one of the first things I was appointed to do was to contact the CMS. And I had a lot of evidence. I gave them a lot of evidence in regards to his income, you know, his possessions, his assets, etc. And he was awarded by the CMS £14 a month to pay for his child, even though his assets and everything makes him a millionaire.
Wow.
We were in temporary accommodation, council accommodation, which was absolutely horrendous, you know, going to food banks and everything like that. And since then, you know, I've managed to get us into a lovely situation where we've got our own house and we're safe and everything like that, which is great. You know, we're 3 years down the line now. But for the last 3 years, I have been fighting with CMS to get them to listen to me, because it turns out they never even looked at the evidence that I gave them at the beginning.
Wow.
That doesn't surprise me with the other messages that I get. They're just... Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, say that they give it and they have to constantly chase, and they say they're looking into it, but then they don't actually look into it, and then you're still chasing, and you find yourself in this vicious cycle of nothing actually happening.
And can I just say, well done you, though, for
leaving.
That's what's really jumped out at me, that you have got, you and your daughter, a safe place and a nice home. I don't think mums get enough credit for how hard that is to do, but well done you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, I think you're right with that one, really. I don't think people tend to kind of realise that you know, you're working with the breakdown of the relationship as well as trying to keep your heads above water financially.
Absolutely. You're healing as well, but you don't have time to heal, so you pop it away in a box and you go into autopilot so your child's all right. So I know, and I know things come out after, because you just get on with it, don't you? So I'm taking my hat off to you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Lisa's been through some threatening things herself, so she can relate in those areas. And I couldn't imagine for a second. I really couldn't, because when I hear her story, I'm just thinking to myself, because you really have to pluck up the courage, don't you, to leave?
You do. It takes so much. It took me about a year to kind of get things to a situation where I was like, right, now's the time. I need to leave now. this is just kind of, I can't take
too
anymore.
am so sorry you went through that, because like you said, with having your daughter, and you have a little girl, right?
Yeah, I do.
Having your
Yeah,
daughter and her being so young, and
yeah.
you
She
knowing
was
that, 6
And I
months.
think mine's a different scenario to yours, but I'm guessing probably. You said, it took a year for you to get the courage, whatever the correct term is, to leave,
Yeah.
but also to feel like, no, I deserve more than this. I think you have to get in that place, don't you? Because you almost go along with it thinking, this is my
That you're less
life.
than.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of believe it because you're being told it
of
consistently.
course. Yeah.
Until somebody says, you kind of get little flickers of hope from people when they sort of confirm the things, the red flags that
You're
you've
not
always had
mad.
there,
Yeah. That
but you suppress.
confirmation.
We
Yeah.
talk about that common
A
theme.
lot. You're not mad.
Yeah.
It is all happening, but you get blindsided sometimes, don't you?
But I think also
Completely.
sometimes you don't want to think. You don't want to, because like you said, you didn't want your child to see their father for what they really were.
Yeah.
It's one of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge as well. When you've got children in that situation, you kind of think to yourself, I don't want my child. I know this isn't healthy. I don't want my child growing up thinking this is a healthy situation and end up in it themselves. So you have to kind of
Be strong for your child.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was driven by that more than anything. But there was financial abuse within that situation as well, and I knew that was going to continue after I left if I was attempting to try and get some form of financial support from the father.
Because
So
I guess
I
that's
did.
their last attempt, isn't it? That's their last clutches.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Once you've left, the only thing that they can manipulate you absolutely would be the financial situation, because they know you need it.
Absolutely.
Ultimately.
The sad thing is with you saying that, they know you need it, but they know the child still needs to eat and be warm and have clothes and shoes on their feet, but they seem to disregard that's their responsibility, don't they? And they'd rather hurt you than do the right thing.
Oh, absolutely. I think in my situation personally, it's driven by the control is more important.
The winning.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a competition rather than doing what's right.
Yeah, bless you.
And I think that's apparent for quite a few people, really. They're constantly battling with somebody that can't see past their own emotions and
their own gain.
Yeah.
It's the end goal where they have to win. Like, it doesn't matter if something will benefit your child together or anything like that, as long as they're going to win what they've put forward.
Yeah, 100%. There are considerably tough times. I don't think it's right to kind of paint a picture of absolute freedom, because we are struggling, and we are living off the bare minimum. So the financial investigations team finally, 2.5 years into everything, of me trying to get them to look at the evidence and everything, finally came back to me with a figure of what he was truly earning, because he was obviously lying the whole time. And they came back with a hell of a lot more than he was actually declaring. But trying to get the money that he owes is impossible. And I'm now being told that even though they have evidence of that and they have those figures, and I have those figures from them in writing, that he is now allowed to contest it.
He can contest,
of course.
That he.
My friend went through this whole. Isn't it the fraud investigations unit?
That's correct. Yeah, the fraud investigations team.
My friend went through that, and it went to court actually, and the father ended up crapping himself a little bit, to say the least. I think he was a bit dodgy, and they've ended up settling privately. But my advice to her was, obviously, and it's a different situation because yours is domestic abuse, so you you're in a very different situation to that. Hers wasn't that.
Yeah.
And so a private settlement could come, you know, from that. But hers was basically that they come to private settlement, and my advice to her, and I'm not a lawyer, but I feel like I've been through so much that I have quite a lot of knowledge on it now. And I said to her, you need to get that in a court order, like a consent order, because if he then stops, you have nothing to fall back from.
Well, you're back to square one.
You've left the court system. Yeah. So if you're going to agree, you agree within a consent order, a court order, and you make sure your child is completely, you know, watertight with an order.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think so too. I mean, I even sort of spoke to CMS. Obviously, Lauren, you and I have been talking, you know, since yesterday evening, and you know, I've asked the CMS, you know, can I take this to court? And they told me no.
Well, I think they're saying, sorry to butt in, I think they're saying no within the CMS remit. So within the CMS remit, the Fraud Investigations Unit, I think, have to finish their investigation. And you know, when you're saying court, they assume that you mean the CMS take him to court.
Yeah.
They don't know about the other thing I was talking to you about. So for listeners that are listening, I'll just call you our caller, so I don't say your name, but our caller, the father actually earns outside of the CMS threshold, which is currently, the CMS threshold is currently, we looked at this the other day when we were obviously going through everything to do with the CMS, £156,000 gross a year. And this particular father earns more than that. So technically she is in the Schedule 1 arena. And so I am going to link you with my lawyer. I spoke to her earlier to see if there's something that they can do, because that's a complete different area. And that's not, I mean, the CMS can do their thing in the background, but potentially you might be able to go down this road as well. So, side by side.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful for that advice as well, because I've not even, you know, been told or advised of anything like that, and I'm just sat here waiting to hear back from CMS all the time. I'm constantly calling, checking my online portal and everything like that, just to see what steps I can do now.
And that's time consuming. You're trying to be a mum on your own, and a single one at that, which with a child your age takes up all your time, and yet you're expected to sit on the phone or send the emails and do all of that. It's so unfair.
Yeah, I mean, I've lost days doing it.
I bet you have.
I think
years.
Absolutely.
And I think also with what Lisa just said, like, you end up being, I don't know how about you, but I used to get really stressed going through those situations.
Totally.
You know, your patience is then shorter and your short fuse.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, the amount of times that I've sat on the phone and just cried, because, you know, they've sent me letters and said, you know, we can see how much he's earning. You should be getting this per month, but I'm afraid he's not paid us again this month, so you're going to get zero. But if you need any financial aid, we can put you in touch with the food bank or the local council for a household support fund. And I'm like, this should not even be happening.
I mean, thank God for those things, but you are not in a situation where this shouldn't even be.
A situation.
No one should, but, and I feel for so many people, but there are real scenarios where people genuinely, no fault of anyone's own, end up in them situations. But you have a father that is more than wealthy enough to pay and help look after his child.
And he's just been discussed.
It's just a joke.
So I'm putting together like a CMS with Lisa, like a proposal from the Your Sincerely pod, and we've got meetings. And one of the things that I think should happen is I think that the thresholds should lower. Like if you're getting, say, £100,000 gross and you're taking home roughly over £5,000 net take home a month, why are you able to use that CMS system? It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
you've got more than enough money to sort it out with lawyers. Two parents, unless obviously there's domestic abuse, I understand that, but two parents can sit there, sort out what's amicable, sort out what the child needs, sort out what you've got, sort out, you know, everything like that. Consent order it done.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't want to play ball, then he has to pay the solicitor fees.
Exactly. You have to then go through the Schedule 1, which is what I've recommended to you. Like that arena is no joke, and people can't hide because you're disclosing all your assets, your bank accounts, everything. It's no joke, that whole area. You have to give over your life, and it's very time consuming. So I feel as though if a parent knew that they had to go through that, or they just sit down and work out something and make an order, a lot more people would just amicably do it rather than using the CMS system. Like, the CMS system has to be changed in such a way that it's last resort.
Whoever we ask, be it another mum, a dad, people in authority, we say, what is the most important thing in the world? And I'd like to think 99% would say our children. And or, you know, that we are all on the same page. Kids should come first.
Because even going through a Schedule 1 case, I actually, originally, he did the CMS. I had to go for the CMS because they do that whole financial thing that you just spoke about, where they withhold it, you're not having anything, go and apply to the CMS, which I had to then do, right? Then it was you're above the threshold, you can apply them for a Schedule 1, which I then did, right? But they do this thing where they delay with everything. And when you're putting in the court application, you are waiting months. You don't get a interim maintenance for, say, 6 months, you know, and that's when you can accrue debt. It's a really, it's just this, it's a hard system. It is. And that's for somebody with lots of resources. And they don't have to make you do that.
When my son was young, my daughter is a completely different ball game, but with my son, we're going back quite a few years, and it was called CSA. We had this conversation, didn't we? When I went to the CSA, was advised to go to CSA and ask for maintenance, he got a nil assessment, which means he doesn't have to pay anything. He doesn't have any money. He doesn't have an income. And it's like, okay, so he's got 6 cars parked on his drive, worth over 100,000 each probably, you know, owns many properties, and yet he doesn't have to feed Harley. And it's just, you just stand there and think of, am I mad?
Yeah,
or
am I losing the plot?
What is this?
I was in a similar scenario. You know, he was awarded £14 a month for my daughter, and he was driving around in a brand new Lamborghini with a Range Rover Sport, a jet ski, and a motorbike, as well as a work van.
Shocking.
But you know what's also, for me, crazy and mind-blowing is that he's awarded to pay £14, was it a month or a week?
Yeah, a month.
A month, right?
Can we work that out? A week? How much is that a week?
I don't even want to. It's
no,
like
come on, I want to.
3 something?
How much is that a week? 14 divided by
3
4.
something, isn't it?
So that's £3 probably.
50 a month, a week, sorry. £3.50 a week. Yeah.
Right. I just would like you to tell me, what would you buy with that? A jacket potato?
You can't buy jacket potatoes for £3.50.
I nearly sent it back.
Yes.
To be honest with you.
Shove it up your arse. I'm sorry, but seriously.
Yeah. This is what I was saying when I said on the episode, like £8 a week or £12 a month. It is how you can sit there, but they're so twisted in their head that they're just happy with winning.
Absolutely.
They are. Does he know about your sleeping arrangement? Not where you are, but you know how you're living and stuff. Does he know any of that?
I've not had any contact personally with him for 3 years now.
Right. It's been cold turkey, like cut contact.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's chosen not to have a relationship with his child, purely because.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, of course.
Aside of the problems and your issues with maintenance and getting help, are you happier?
Oh, so much happier.
That's nice to hear.
So much happier. As a person, you know, regardless of being a mum, as a person, I am so much happier. I was an absolute shell of myself when I left them.
I was just about to say, have you found yourself again?
Yeah, and it's not without hard work.
No, but
do you know what's interesting? Your term of a shell of myself.
Yeah.
I use that.
I was.
Yeah, I understand you completely. And it takes, I'm definitely not where you sound like you are. I've got a bit more healing to do, but
I think after you know, tough situations within relationships, I think it takes a long time.
Oh, I'm still healing. I think you never stop healing.
You know, you said he has opted not to have anything to do with your child. Would you want him to, considering you know what he put you through and what he did to you?
Well, if I'm completely honest with you, the court awarded him access in a
contact centre.
Yeah, in a contact centre. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word.
That's all right.
And because of that, because he wasn't able to induce the control like he would have been if he was just having her on his own, he opted not to have her at all. And that speaks volumes in my
100%.
eyes.
And me.
I'm just sat here with my mouth on the floor. Sorry, I'll pick it up.
So, you know, I would personally, I think she would not be the happy, energetic, bubbly self that she is now if he was involved in her life. She is an incredible little girl,
and that's kudos to you.
Yeah, sorry, I'm like
all down to you.
Part nearly crying over here just because I just know, like, I just know what you're like kind of talking about with when you look at your child and they're just so happy and you think, do you know what, it's fine, like I'll deal with everything else as long as you're all good.
Massively, and I'm so proud of the person she's become, and the fact that, you know, I've got a really supportive network. We would not be where we are now if I didn't have the supportive network. I really feel for those parents that are the resident parent that don't have the supportive network.
Me too. I wouldn't have survived without my mum.
Well, your sister messaged me, didn't she, on Instagram, and was like, you need to find her message and accept her. And you two look quite similar. I saw the picture.
Yeah, we are
talking to the same person.
Sorry, I've seen this picture somewhere.
She's my absolute rock. People used to think we were twins when we were younger.
That's really cute.
Yeah, but her and my other siblings as well. They have been incredible, and I would not be where we are now without them. If I can just leave you with a statistic that I've been reading up on recently, 1 in 5 single parents are lifted out of poverty due to the child maintenance actually being paid.
Wow.
So there are 1 in 5 children can actually be lifted out of poverty.
It's disgusting. It makes me want to cry.
Yeah. And there are so many more children that are living in poverty completely unnecessarily. If both parents were the ones that were putting into it, obviously you've got the resident parent doing that, you know, unconditionally anyway. But if the paying parent paid what they should be paying, the country would be in a completely different situation, and those poor children would get everything that they are entitled to get.
And I'm going to just leave us all with this as well. As your child gets older, they know you didn't want to feed them and clothe them. How must that feel to a child? It's so wrong on every level.
Can I just say to that, because that is where I will say that, yes, okay, in the beginning with Cairo, games were played and stuff, and that was like I think what was said to me was it was a lawyer tactic, which I didn't appreciate going along with, but I understand legal tactics because I also did them myself. Do you know what I mean? With my lawyers, but I hand on heart can say that is one thing that I will never be able to criticise him for, unless in the future he tries anything with our children, like reducing maintenance and stuff, is he doesn't shirk that responsibility at the moment in terms of paying for his children, and that I am appreciative for, because for our children
he can't.
He could break that court order. Yes, okay, he could go to prison and get fines and all of that stuff, but trust me, it takes a lot for him to go to prison over that, at least.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, where he's in the public eye.
You think he cares?
Yeah.
You've seen what you really?
I think men don't like you to know what they really are.
He pees in public arenas. You think he cares?
I think this is a different scenario. Personally,
really?
I think that their image is so important to them.
Oh, I get what you're saying, but yeah, and I'd call him out on it. Yeah.
And he has got a lot of money. It would be laughable if he didn't pay.
No, I hear you. I do hear that. But anyway, I'm still appreciative at the moment for the fact that
I would be appreciative. I'm not undermining that. I'm just saying sometimes the men are in the public eye. Would they have done it if they could get away with it? Probably. And keep being strong and keep doing what you're doing, and give your daughter a kiss.
Yeah, thank you for joining, and take care. If you need anything, do message. I will get in touch with you with the legal details as well. Take care. Have a lovely day.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to another take on it, and we've all got our own views on things like that, haven't we? You know, we've all got our own opinion. It's like, you asked her the question, Lauren, didn't you? Would you want him to see his daughter? And I think we all heard, didn't we, that the minute he knew it was where it would be controlled, he didn't want that.
He wasn't in control.
Absolutely. And if you had an abusive partner, do you separate that just because they're abusive to you? It doesn't mean they'd be abusive to their children.
How would you know that?
I don't know. I'm asking that question.
I personally, for me, I would never ever forgive myself if I knew what he'd done to me, and I put my daughter without somebody there that they were safe around. You know, like, say, your mum or somebody that you knew was strong around that person and would be their kind of safety blanket.
This is a really grey area, and we're touching on really rocky ground here.
It is, because some people will say,
you know, he might have been awful to me, but he was an amazing dad.
I have a friend that said that to me.
And you know what? My dad, God rest his soul, might not have been the best husband, but he was a good dad, really good dad.
Well, what you just said there, my friend, she went through domestic abuse, and she lets him see her child because she said that's, you know,
his different
child. No, well, just it's his child. He should be able to. And she always says that he is the best dad to her.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking about me. I don't know if I could, and this is just a personal thing, and I understand it's a grey area, but how I currently feel about the situation is, I don't know if I could sleep at night knowing that my child was with somebody that did X, Y, Z to me, or knowing that they have the capabilities to do that, unless there was some sort of safeguarding there. And that's just me. You never know until you're in their shoes. And
exactly.
That's 100% true. Like, we can always say, oh, we'd be like this now, or we think this now, but then Walker flipping hardly any months in her shoes, and you might think a whole lot different.
I've really enjoyed today. Sorry.
And thank you to our anonymous caller as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being brave. And
so
thank
lovely.
you for trusting us with your story, because obviously you don't really know us, and we, you know, literally yesterday we started speaking, we've joined you onto the pod, and then you're here telling us, you know, really personal stuff. And we appreciate you sharing it, we really do.
Yeah, I found my voice.
Listen, your voice is
Never
like
went.
a foghorn.
No, I found my voice, and I am...
You didn't find it last night, did you?
No, that's another story. I can't even talk about that.
Honestly, let me tell you, Lisa with her catchphrases of that's another story. You need to have that on a t-shirt, and that's another story. I've never heard it come out of your mouth so much. Do you not know that?
I'm going to get that tattooed.
No, don't get another tattoo, please.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next week.
We will.
With another story, or two, or three.
And everyone keeps saying to us, can you make these longer? But
do you really want to be... Do you really want to be hanging out with us for even longer? Because I find me draining. Do you?
Well, sometimes I listen to myself.
Sometimes we waffle
so much, don't we?
Yeah, so bad.
Like nattering older women.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was something actually. I was going to say, do you guys want to call in and have, you know, sometimes maybe even ask us questions as well as talk about your personal stuff? We're up for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you think, well, why did she do that? Or why is that like that?
We're not talking about the trolls. We're not interested in those.
But about
people.
Our lives, I'm certainly
situations.
Open about my kids where they're older, and I can truthfully answer you how I feel. Mm-hmm. Maybe I should have navigated different, or maybe that might be the effect it has.
But the navigating might.
Yeah.
I could do with some pointers on that.
God, you don't want me navigating you.
You're trying to navigate everyone else.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, you probably won't call in, but I'm here if you need me.
Moral support. And we're really enjoying also like our feedback.
Loving the feedback.
And also I love that you're loving the feedback, because I just see a bit of kind of, I don't know, sometimes I'll look at Lisa and she'll just have this little smile on her face, and then she's like, oh, Lauren, listen to this message, and she'll read it out and she'll be like, isn't that so lovely? And I'm thinking, that is so lovely. And for her to kind of get that experience, I love, because it lights you up, you know.
It means a lot.
Yeah, I know. And
it does, because as much as I do joke, and that's just my personality, I have been to hell and back.
Yeah.
But
also recently, which we haven't even got into.
No. And recently, and
this is when I say it doesn't stop.
It just doesn't
stop. It doesn't stop, because I have so many friends also in similar situations, and it truly doesn't stop.
No.
So thank you so much for tuning in to the Yours Sincerely pod with me, Lauryn Goodman.
And me, Gobby Andrews.
Stop it. And please can you like and subscribe and all of that jazz.
And keep the messages coming, because we love them.
We do. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Our podcast is proudly sponsored by Tooth Club, the celebrity dentist specialising in composite bonding, Invisalign and implants. They offer monthly deals, and you can spread the cost with monthly payments. With locations across Essex, Hertfordshire, Suffolk and Kent, they're easy to find. Check them out on Instagram @Tooth Club UK.